Hello, and welcome to the Mr. 50mm YouTube channel. Wow, it's been a while since I recorded a rambling. We're on episode 7 now, if you're keeping up. And yeah, it's because I've been kind of busy recording a library of main videos. But this week I decided, let's take a little break because I finally got a roll of film back from shooting my Yashica Electro 35 GX right here. So, we'll take this as an opportunity to do a review of the Yashica Electro 35GX, and I wanted to discuss something else as well. DigiCams. Yay or nay? Let's get into it. So, the Yashica Electro 35GX. What is it? Well, it is a rangefinder camera released by Yashica, and it's the smaller cousin to the Yashica Electro 35 GSN. Whoop. So overall, it is a tiny bit thicker, I think. No, incorrect. No, correct. They are a smidgen thicker, but overall, otherwise, it is stubbier. It is smaller in other dimensions, but it also offers, a fairly nice lens, fairly fast, normal-ish lens, with the GSN offering a 45mm and the GX offering a 40mm f1.7. Now, the average going price for one of these GXs is roughly 150 USD right now, which is actually kind of expensive. But, do I think it is worth the money? We'll get into that a little bit later on. But first, let's go over some things about the Electro 35 GX. It's powered normally by, two 1.4 volt mercury cells, which they're not really made anymore. But it turns out you can also power them by jamming in two LR44 batteries and then shorting one side of the battery terminals, like so. I got two LR44s neatly sitting in here, and in this side I've literally folded a paper clip to close the contact between the two contact patches. So doing this will get you the functionality of the meter back, assuming yours works, and it's fairly close as well to the voltage, as I believe the LR44 is like 1.5 volts, and the mercury cells are 1.4, so you might get a bit of weirdness with the meter, but overall it's going to work. Now, this camera is pretty interesting because it is a aperture priority camera when you have the batteries in. It'll basically do from like a 30-second shutter to 1/500th, and you got your aperture over here, and it has a little like neat guide as well. So, this indicates general guidelines for indoor shooting, cloudy days, and bright sunlight. And if you have your aperture value set, the camera will also, tell you whether or not you're in an acceptable range. It's pretty good the way it does that. So if you basically want to wind it up and you half press, you'll see on the top the, I'm going to force it to give me a light. There you go. Hopefully you can see it blink there. If you half press, yep, the light is on, and it's basically telling you that please change the aperture and rotate it this way. But it's quite dark in here, so it doesn't matter if I do that forever, the light's still going to stay on. But if you depress the shutter, the shutter will go for, as long as required. But, it ideally, the way that the shutter works is that when you get a lighting condition that is good on your half press, it'll go from lighting up to disappearing, which means that you have a shutter speed of greater than 1/30th of a second, but less than or equal to 1/500th, giving you a suitable shutter speed range. And it's pretty good because you can also see it through the finder. Although, when I was actually shooting in daylight, I had a hard time seeing it in the finder. You're supposed to see it show up in the corners. I always had to just like half press and look at the indicators at the top of the camera just to make sure. But it's pretty neat either way. And yeah, so aperture priority, rangefinder camera, and being a rangefinder, focusing is fairly straightforward. turn the ring, align your images through the finder, make sure the yellow image is overlaid directly onto your, finder properly. And once you have it aligned, you are in focus for whatever you're pointing your subject at. Straightforward and overall a good experience. On the bottom, you have a ISO/film speed setting there, and it is in ASA, same as ISO. And over here, you have a soft timer, and it's actually pretty neat. So let's give it a shot. You wind it, and so you press this tab down, and you wind the other tab forward. And when you press the shutter, it will count down about 8 seconds, maybe. There we go. And this is actually a pretty good way to do your long exposures if you are planning to do some beyond 1/30th of a second. So you can put your soft timer on, let the camera, do the exposure, and when it clicks, the leaf shutter will just open for as long as it needs to and then close when it's done. So, ways to do some long exposure on film if you're into that. Yeah, overall, I really like this camera. It's very small compared to the other one. It also just feels denser because it is more compact. Not that this one feels bad. It is actually also very well built and nice solid construction. This one just happens to be a little more weighty overall. The concentration of weight is just a little more substantial, if that makes any sense. And yeah, it holds and operates just like a rangefinder of the 70s. Overall, I think the controls are fairly well laid out. And yeah, do I recommend it? If you got 200 Canadian dollars, 150-ish USD, yes, it's quite nice. It's a fairly cheap full frame 35mm rangefinder. But honestly, if you're on a budget and you have a budget of $75, this will also do you. And yeah, the extra bigness of the size, don't let that scare you away. And it's just as easy to get the meter on these going. You just need a couple more batteries, and the battery hole is a bit different. But it's basically the same idea. You can stack up LR44s and then create a spring out of whatever you want just to complete the circuit. Overall, good stuff. Yeah, the only thing I will say about these older Yashicas is that you will find that on a lot of them, the light seals on the back are a bit janky. On mine, it's actually still nice. And I did not replace this. I got this 10 years ago, and it is quite solid. But on my GSN, I think, yeah, it is in need of some new light seals. It's a bit janky. Overall, though, the images also come out of these. I find them quite nice. The lens is quite sharp, and the what's it called? The leaf shutter is turbo silent, so it's quite good for street photography. Here, again, let's give it a listen. Just a real simple, de-springing. So overall, excellent, quiet, discreet film camera. And, personally, I find these extremely pretty. I really like having them. And at least as of the last roll of film that I put through, I found the meter to be on mine to still function fairly well. I did put in some super expired film, and you'll see some of that in the photo gallery. But in short, nice camera, good weight, good ergonomics overall, and dead simple operation. DigiCams. Are they a yay or are they an A? Yeah, so I basically just posit this question to you. Do you think it's worth it for me to review digicams? I do also collect them along with my film cameras, film SLRs, film rangefinders, DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, what have you. You know, I'm not very picky. I will pick up whatever I see that looks kind of interesting. Uh, and this might end up also just being a community poll that I'll put up, but I figured I might as well just discuss it. And one of the reasons why I do want to look at digicams is because of this camera, the Canon PowerShot Pro 1. So a long while ago, in the many years ago, days of old, in like 2010 or so, I actually remember reading about these things and I thought they were super cool. But at the time, they were kind of pricey. So I never ended up picking one up, especially given the fact that I had a 5D2 and I didn't super feel the need for a bridge camera at the time. And yeah, the price, I guess looking around like online, they're actually kind of still pricey. But I ended up finding one at a thrifty stores for around $20 Canadian. And of course, when I bought it, it was not like tested, but these things take the ubiquitous BP 511s, and the one I got tended to just fire up and be ready to shoot. And I always had interest in these little bridge cameras of the past because they were like packed full of features. Like this Pro one, it was the only Digicam advertised with a Canon red ringness, the L lens. Now, it seems that this is mostly marketing fluff because this was, I think, a fairly okay Digicam. Like, it wasn't super amazing. It wasn't bad. I don't know how many, ultra low dispersion elements or whatever are in here. But every time I take a picture or take this out for a quick photo session, I like the output. I don't find it super special, although that might just be because of its fairly tiny CCD. But yeah, always been kind of interested in these, and recently I've been, picking up random digicams as I go to thrift stores. I'll find like weird ones for like $5 or whatever, and just like give it a go. That being said, I do and don't get the appeal of these. Like, I will, in general, be enamored for a bit. I'll pick it up, I'll go take some shots, and then I will quickly get annoyed by the camera. Usually something weird with the ergonomics will irk me, or it'll take me like forever to figure out how to do something where I'm used to just like DSLR or mirrorless controls that are kind of fast, and these cameras are just like generally slow. The Pro 1 is kind of the exception. It has a lot of buttons, and you can do a lot of things fairly quickly with the button layout. I mean, it's even got a sub-display up here. Its sub-display color is, I believe, the backlight is just your regular orange, so nothing super special. But, this operates fairly quickly, but with a lot of other digicams, I usually will get slowed down in a way that annoys me, not in a way that will help me think of new ways to compose photos or whatever, but more in the way of like, wow, this takes forever to focus, and it is doing it at not the subject. Or, I'll have another digicam and I'll be like, oh my god, how many button presses does it take to switch the ISO kind of slow? So, more annoying, more detrimental than, than other older cameras that I'm happy to shoot. But they still intrigue me, and I do, from time to time, like picking these things up. But yeah, that's just me. What do you think? Should I start reviewing some digicams? Let me know in the comments below. And, let me know what you thought of my little quick review of the Electro 35 GX. And whether or not you enjoyed it, or do you actually have one of these? Yeah, leave a comment down below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, bye.